Welcome back to ADHD Whiskey. My name is Matt, and today is 1 Ounce Wednesday. 1 Ounce Wednesday is a day where I take a sample that I've received from a friend, or a patron, or a viewer, or a distillery, or Kevin James, or Mark Cuban, Ginny Garofalo, Kelly Slater, AC Slater, AC Conditioner, Roseanne Barr, Jack Dempsey, Russell Brand, Gary Paulson, Edgar Martinez, or anybody else. I get the sample, I pour it, I swirl it, I nose it, I score it, and that's 1 Ounce Wednesday. Today's 1 Ounce Wednesday is a sample that I brought back from Whiskey Weekend this past weekend, and today we are tasting E.H. Taylor Tornado Survivor. Before you even get started and tell me how I'm reviewing something that you'll never ever see or never get to taste, listen, I would never get to taste it either, except for I went to an event this past weekend where there were 200 crazy whiskey lovers who were sharing the craziest whiskey on the planet. And if I was smart and brought sample bottles, which I didn't, which I should have, then I would have come back with crazy stuff. Like, a lot of crazy stuff. This is courtesy of the podcast. If you're not subscribed to the podcast, don't blame you. Just kidding. Go on over to the podcast and hit subscribe. This was a special pour in one of our blind tasting sessions. I hosted a blind tasting session, and after that session was over, we got to spin a fun wheel, and whatever pour that wheel landed on, we got to share with the group. So, that wheel landed on E.H. Taylor Tornado Survivor, and I am so happy to be able to taste this tonight and give it a score. At the event, I drank 1/2 ounce of it, and I saved 1/2 ounce for 1 Ounce Wednesday. America. Giving it a little bit of an SJ. If you are unfamiliar with E.H. Taylor Tornado Survivor, back in 2006, a tornado ripped through Kentucky and took the dang roof off of Warehouse C at the Buffalo Trace Distillery. Those barrels that were in the rick house were exposed to the outdoor elements for a period of time before they could repair the rick house. Apparently those barrels changed enough under those conditions that they were worthy of a special bottling. This is a bottled and bond bourbon, 100 proof. Upon original release, this bottle sold for, I believe, $70. Nowadays, if you want to get your grimy little paws on a bottle of this, you're either going to have to whack somebody and steal it from them, which I don't recommend, or you're going to have to pay like, I don't know, something like $8,000 to $10,000, which I don't recommend either. Is this bourbon worth a used Suburban? Only one way to find out. Go into the nose thing. Ooh. Okay. Definitely Buffalo Trace. Definitely sweet. Definite fruit cup. Tropical fruit cup. Sweet oak. Lots of strawberry and cherry. The Buffalo Trace nose is like ramped up here quite a bit. Pretty much ramped up to an 11 here. There's something laying beneath the traditional Buffalo Trace bourbon nose, and I can't quite put my tiny little sausage finger on it. It's like a viscous syrup, a fruit syrup. A fruit syrup that you stored inside of a charred oak refrigerator. I don't know. That doesn't make a lot of sense, but guess what? Welcome to ADHD Whiskey. My name's Matt. Yeah, tons of tropical fruit, tons of traditional Buffalo Trace profile, sweet oak, sweet cherry, sweet strawberry, probably one of the fruitiest bourbons I've smelled in a long time. This smells like it's going to be thick, like it's going to be viscous. Is this E.H. Taylor Tornado Survivor thick with 3 C's? There's only one way to find out, and that's to pour it inside me. That is nice. That is nice. That is sweet. The consistency is fairly thick. Lingering finish. A little bit of oak on the back end. Lots of fruit up front. Reminds me a lot of the other E.H. Taylor products I've had. The finish is actually the star of the show here, The finish is sticking around for a bit. The finish is sticking around to see what's for breakfast in the morning. The finish couldn't find its keys to get out of your house, so it stuck around a bit longer than anticipated. Second sip, like usual, is a bit softer, a bit lighter, doesn't quite do to the mouth what the first sip does to the mouth, therefore leaving me, I don't know, not dissatisfied, but I mean, it's a $70 bottle of whiskey, folks. It's a $70, $80 bottle of whiskey. I'm not going to sit here and compare the last little drippy drop to small batch or single barrel to see how much of a difference there is, but just from memory, I would say that maybe there's like a 15% difference. You know what? Some of the single barrels I've had are really freaking good. E.H. Taylor single barrels can be really good. And I think that some of them have rivaled this or been maybe better. It's hard to say. Would I trade a Suburban for it if I had a Suburban? No. I would much rather get it around town. Again, thank you to Will and Grease from the podcast here on YouTube or on all your favorite podcasting stations or whatever the hell you podcasters call your stuff. E.H. Taylor, Warehouse C, Tornado Survivor, Bottled and Friggin' Bond receives a score from me tonight of 8.2. It's a great bourbon. 8.2. It's great bourbon. It's not hitting me with a Mack truck full of surprises. It's hitting me with maybe like a Power Wheels full of surprises. If you ever get the chance to try it, I definitely recommend trying it. It's a little bit more unique than some of the E.H. Taylor products, but not unique enough to go crazy about it. Unless you are an E.H. Taylor fanatic who has to have every single E.H. Taylor bottle on your shelf, then I would say don't be upset that you don't have one of these. Don't go crazy about it. If you have the chance to try it, try it. But if you have the chance to buy it, hopefully it's around $100, which is probably about a tenth of what? Or 100th? What's 10 times 10? What's 100 times 10? That's 1,000. Oh my gosh. 100th? 100 is 100th of 10,000? No. Is that true? 100 times 10 is 1,000. 100 times 100 is 10,000. $100 is 1/100th of 10,000? Good grief, that makes me want to throw up. That's too expensive. That's a lot of money. Good Lord. Whatever. It's an 8.2. It's a great bourbon, but it's nothing exceptionally crazy. It is crazy to be able to try it because it's so rare, but it's not an incredibly unique or mind-blowing pour. And there I said it. My name is Matt. This is ADHD Whiskey, and like I always say, keep your head in the clouds but your mind on bringing sample bottles to Whiskey Weekend, because sometimes you'll find yourself in a room full of bourbon and people just want you to taste all of their bourbon, but you only have one person, and that's you, and you can only drink so much, but they're willing to give you as much as you want. And if you had sample bottles, you could do that. You could take it with you. You could take it home to taste later, to do 1 ounce Wednesdays with. But you're dumb and you didn't bring them. And then they give you a sample bottle and you drop it on the floor and break it because you're stupid. And you're just, it was slippery. I'm sorry.